How's it going, everybody? Yeah, I'm not really someone who talks about MTG finance. It's not really in my wheelhouse. I'm just in it to have fun. I know it's a shocking concept, playing a game because you enjoy it, but I'm not really here to knock people who just treat Magic the Gathering like the stock market, because there are people who are making a lot of money off of trading and selling cards. And I'm not really super upset about it myself. I mean, we can talk about the implications. If I'm upset about anything, it might be the reserve list, it might be moving forward. There are just certain people who are never going to jump on this bandwagon now, because they're priced out. I mean, they're effectively out of the game. Hope you enjoyed playing Legacy while you could. What are those lands up to now? It's ridiculous. But this is mtgstocks.com. I think it's a fantastic website. You can pretty much click on whatever card you want to, and you can see just the pricing history. There's a feature like this on tcgplayer.com. It's not quite as deep as this, though. I think this is fantastic because you can pay attention to trends. So you can see here, this is all of the increases since last week, which I like this better than the day-to-day increases, because it shows you something a little bit more stable. Any card can spike for whatever reason. Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes it's just someone looking to buy out all of one card. People follow that decision, and then you create something that's just artificially inflated, which is how we've often seen the reserve list. You have many cards from sets like Homelands, Alliances, Ice Age that are just not very good cards, and overwhelmingly those sets are not that strong, especially compared to, some sets like Antiquities, Legends. You go to Arabian Nights, you just get nothing but expensive reserve list value. Even Visions and Stronghold, they're kind of lower, but they still offer you just a ton of value. I myself, I'm not really an investor. It's not something that I'm an expert on. I'm kind of against the idea of just buying Magic cards because you like the value. Who is that guy, that Martin Shkreli guy? The guy who wanted to shoot up the cost of a prescription drug, something like that. Really sketchy character, but he was interested in Magic cards for like the same reason. Hey, these are just expensive things that I can buy and they'll grow in value. I'm never going to be like that, and hopefully I never will, where I just buy something because it's valuable, not because I actually like it. I've always played Magic because it's a fun game to me. If it wasn't a fun game, I wouldn't want to buy any of these things. I would just go to the stock market. But as you can see here, I mean, a lot of these jumps did happen, by the way, back in like early January. So this is kind of old news, but we're still seeing some ridiculous spikes into February. And you can see here, a lot of this is from Legends, just old cards like Relic Barrier, tap to tap a target artifact. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. You're talking just a week, and it has over 3,000% increase. So if you're one of those people who you did nothing but just buy a bunch of Relic Barriers, yeah, you're swimming in some dough. Sea King's Blessing, a lot of these too, you're gonna see spikes because they're reserve list cards or they're just cards necessary for a certain combo. I should clarify, not all of these are reserve list cards, and Relic Barrier here and Sea King's Blessing are not, but they're just old cards that are not likely to be reprinted anytime soon. And also just cards from Legends and Antiquities, like if you have an original printing of something like Land Tax, because it's very early on in Magic's history, I mean, this is like the second year of its existence as a game. It doesn't have to be necessarily a reserve list card, it's just, this is such an old, rare version. It's kind of like Arabian Nights and, Alpha, Beta, Unlimited. If it's from those sets, it's going to be worth at least something. And this is what I was kind of talking about earlier with the dual lands. This is pretty ridiculous, and I mean, this is an unprecedented spike. We've seen spikes before. You go back to 2013, these were still expensive. This was always going to be a barrier for Legacy. I don't care who you're talking to. If you have to get a play set of these, that's definitely going to keep you from playing Legacy, even if they're only $100 a piece. But then you see here, and then you go over to like 2015, 2016. Wow, almost double. And then you go up here to 2018, around Dominaria, in between Guilds of Ravnica, over 350 average price for a tropical island. And you're thinking to yourself, 350, pretty much if you haven't bought into Legacy yet, you're probably not going to play it. I have a funny story too, because one of the game stores I used to frequent ended up closing down because of this stupid pandemic. And after they closed down, I was panicking myself because I had over $200 in store credit, maybe even more than that, and I needed to get my value. So I said, hey, do you have like a tropical island or something I can get? When exactly was that time? That was like right around here at Korea. So right around May. I was lucky enough to get myself my own dual land. It might have been a tropical island. Again, I don't know. I have a few of the dual lands. I'm not a big time investor. It's just over the years you acquire certain cards and then you watch them grow in value, which holy cow. You go to February, go to January. At one point in January 25th, $1,100 for a revised edition dual land. Let that sink in. Revised has always been like what you can point to. Well, at least you could get a revised edition. Now it doesn't really seem to matter. Oh, you have a beta one? Cool. We're all millionaires now. What's really weird here, and it's probably the most fascinating thing about this, I have no way to explain this. I don't know what to tell you. I can't predict the future. If anything, I would have said the exact opposite, like these prices are going to go down like at least 20%. People don't have the money to spend on Magic the Gathering, they're busy staying alive. My only regret is that I didn't just go crazier on the reserve list. I have a lot of weird cards too. This right here is probably my favorite story because my buddy who you might have listened to on a live stream, he's the one who reminded me because I don't pay attention to finance whatsoever. But I'll occasionally look through my collection and I'll see something weird. And I'll go, you know what, I want more of that. And Soldevi Excavations was a card that I remember getting several of back in 2017. So 2017, like right around this time here between Amonkhet, that Amonkhet block and Ixalan, it was only a few dollars. So that right there, I'm not here to brag, but just another weird reserve list card. It's not really that good of a card. I mean, it's not terrible. If you need a land that will give you a scry for 1 mana, I mean, there are worse options, but look at this. It shot up. It's still going up too. February 22nd, $34. Now, of course, all of these prices are going to settle. I'm not here telling you it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up. It's going to come down a little bit, but it's never going to be back down to like $3. Like every time it spiked, it settled a little bit, but it's never gone completely back down to the same level where it used to be. This is a worthless card going back to 2013. Nobody cared about it. Nobody wanted it. Pretty much just a narwhals from Homelands. Now, for the purposes of this video, I have to mention some Commander staples, some Commander cards that people might be looking for. If you're a fan of combos, then you probably are aware that Palinchron can combo with just about everything. Can you believe back in 2013 this was just a $6 card? I remember getting into Commander back around this time. This is when we had the pre-con decks and everything, some of the best pre-con decks, by the way, and I was thinking to myself, $6 for a card. It combos, that's really all it is. That's a pretty good deal. So I have a couple of these and holy cow. Over time, $150 as of February 1st. Settling, of course, but it's gonna stay above 100, no doubt. This is ridiculous. I mean, again, the reserve list, whether you're a fan of it or not, it's gonna keep people away from this game. And it's one of those things that they can't roll it back now. They can't change it. If you change it, you know how many pissed off people you'll have? You'll be costing people thousands of dollars. So that's not going to happen. Like, this is something that was allowed to go on for way too long. Maybe 10 years ago, maybe back in 2013, you do something about the reserve list, but now it's way too late. Now, I myself would be pretty pissed off if they decided to do anything like that. Here we have another good Commander staple. Well, not really a staple if you just play casual, but if you play competitively, this is a must-have card. I mean, Yawgmoth's Will pretty much allows you to play everything from your graveyard. It can help you win in one turn. So again, we go back to 2013, 2014. This was still pretty expensive. If you're just talking about a card that you don't really play with that often, if you were just someone who played Standard or Modern, you had no idea what Yawgmoth's Will was. You probably would have been like, it's alright. I don't need it. But I bet you wish you spent $15 to get at least one of these back in the day. But, you know, again, if we could go back in time and do something like buy 20 of these, we probably would, because now they're like $400. I remember getting one not so long ago, I think back in 2019. I bought one for like $80, and I felt guilty. Because instead of buying something else I probably needed, like clothes or food, I ended up spending that money on a Yawgmoth's Will. But oh well, you know, The thing I probably regret not buying the most is a Sliver Queen from Stronghold, because these Stronghold cards are going up fast. I mean, they're steadily increasing, and there was a time there around Ikoria, right just before it, where it was still around just $100. You know, it's expensive, but it's something that, it's a good investment. It's a reserve list sliver. Slivers are always going to be a popular creature type, but yeah, again, January, even before, back in September, it was seeing some pretty good gains, and then, of course, January, February, it's over $300. Sliver Queen is in a different category than something like a Yawgmoth's Will. You can't just throw it into whatever deck you want to, so it's harder for me to justify that purchase. I mean, Ron Spencer's artwork is fantastic, but it's another barrier. I mean, this is always going to be a barrier. Let's take a look back at 2013. It was just a $30 card. I mean, slivers were scary back then, but this is unprecedented. We've seen spikes, we've seen increases, and while the past 3 years, even before this year, it was looking really good for these cards in Stronghold, this is still just crazy. We're talking a lot of these cards are experiencing, within the short period of a couple months, 200, 300% increases. So I don't think the reserve list can go anywhere. I really don't think they can afford to make that kind of mistake now. I've made videos about whether or not I think they should do something about it, and they had a period of time where they could do it and minimize the damage. There would be some kind of fallout, of course. You would have some big-time investors pissed off, but now it seems like everybody has some stake in this. It's like you're coming down to the end of a game in Jenga, where every single piece can be viewed as critical for the structure. But anyway, I mean, I just wanted to talk about the reserve list. I wanted to talk about these price increases. It's not something I commonly do, but with how these lockdowns in 2020 impacted local game stores, knowing how difficult it was for them to stay open, this is something that just blows my mind. I did not expect it. I would have predicted the exact opposite. I thought card values would go down. I hope I'm not jinxing anything by saying that, but this was absolutely unpredictable. So if you like the video, subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos. Void here signing off. Have a wonderful day.